Okay. Um, I viewed getting adjusted to quarantine um, through the Dee Dee Jackson Foundation, remembering our late mother on her birthday, losing your spouse with Mia Kapana, in honor of my late husband, Power of Love. The Grief Bully, Do Something for Nothing, Have We Lied to Each Other? This is until I'm able to focus my train of thought right now. Um, this is not the way that I'll put it. I'll keep it like this for right now. Getting adjusted to quarantine. This is the Dee Dee Jackson Foundation with TJ Jackson, Tito Joe Jackson. Um, Jesus Christ. Okay. I should just start this over. That's what I'm going to do. This live is for President Joe Biden and First Lady Jill Biden. President Barack Obama, First Lady Michelle. This lab is for President Joe Biden. First Lady Jill Biden. Um, um,
That's fine.
Okay. Where's this thing?
Foundation, where we shine a light on loss and grief and how it impacts our lives. We are here to provide hope, resources, and a community so no one feels alone in their grief. Enjoy the show. All right. I don't know if I botched that intro, but we'll see. I guess we'll see on the replay. But it is us, Taj, Terrell, and TJ Jackson. It looks like our quality is going from mine to yours, Taj. Terrell, it looks like he's half there. If our fans just created it, if Taj created it, I'd love to have him on here to answer. But it's 3T Day, which is obviously on our mother's birthday.
That's a good question. I know that, I mean, we were always playing practical jokes on Mom. So it wasn't like just April Fool's was the only time. We would always joke with Mom and try and we were trick Mom. Yeah, we were pranksters.
Welcome to The Power of Love, sponsored by the D.D. Jackson Foundation, where we shine a light on loss and grief and how it impacts our lives. We are here to provide hope, resources, and a community so no one feels alone in their grief. I am TJ Jackson, and with me I have my eldest brother, Taj Jackson.
Hello.
That's it?
Yeah. I was kind of interesting. I was noticing that I'm extremely purple and you're like yellow. So, like, we're not the same shade at all in color.
Let me finish this intro. We are live on the Power of Love show. So if you're watching us right now, thank you for joining us. We have a great show. lined up, one that I'm very excited about, one that I think is incredibly important for really all of us, but for some of us, incredibly important and will be incredibly comforting. But before we speak more about what today's show is about, we have to do our disclaimer. We are not licensed therapists. We are just ordinary people who've experienced loss in our lives. We've been impacted by it, and we've learned from it. And we like to share our opinions and what we've learned in an attempt to help you overcome whatever it is you are going through. Saying that, if you need professional help, we urge you to seek it and to find it. Do not just rely on us. Taj, normally we go over the week, but again, I think we can now just start getting into the shows.
Yeah, because they're going to be shorter. Yeah.
If you're okay with that. I mean,
yeah, I'm fine.
I'm tired of hearing how nothing happened in your week. It wasn't like you were giving me great feedback, so I felt we should just go into our show if that's fine with you.
Yes, let's do it.
I know you don't care. Okay, so like I said earlier, this to me is a show I'm incredibly excited for and happy we are doing. When we started DDJF 5 years ago, it was the goal was to have guests like we're having and to open up conversations for anyone out there who is suffering or dealing with grief because of a loss of a loved one. DDJF obviously talks about all types of loss, but I know Taj can relate to this like I can and like our guest can. There's nothing like losing a significant person, whether it's a parent, a spouse, a child. To me, those three categories are like nothing else one will experience in life. And in the case of our guests, on today's show, we're going to welcome a mother. She's also a real estate agent, a writer, an actor, and a recent widow, Mia Kapana. Her husband, Mia's husband, was 43 years old, Henry. Last year, after a year-long battle with pancreatic cancer, lost his life. And so before we bring Mia on, I want the world to know what Henry also meant to my family, my brothers, and our community, our Buckley community, our school community. Henry was like this big central figure for all of us. And it still shakes me thinking how he's not with us. But again, I'm kind of lost for words because it's tough because I'm so close to the situation, but I want to still be proper and professional. So I'm going to try. And Todd, you can step in whenever you want.
No, I mean, you said it best. You know, Henry, even though he was younger than I was, he was like an older brother, someone I looked up to, someone that in my filmmaking / TV career, in terms of wanting to be a director, I looked up to him, and he always inspired me, always made me feel like I can do it. Power of Love show in general, and just the DDJF, the charity wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for Henry, because we created it on Henry's show, and Henry gave the green light for that. So, you know, we're
This live is for President Joe Biden. First Lady Jill Biden, former President Barack Obama, former First Lady Michelle Obama. Lord have mercy. I can't even. This message is for this live is for President Joe Biden, First Lady First Lady Jill Biden, former President Barack Obama, former First Lady Michelle Obama. Getting adjusted to quarantine through the Dee Dee Jackson Foundation in honor of my late husband, Power of Love. And it has a continuation of words here. The Grief Bully live with Jay Nicole. Do Something for Nothing with Joshua Coombs. Have We Lied to Each Other live Q&A. Discussing Hope with Dr. Rosalind through the Dee Dee Jackson Foundation. Also on the Family Rules, Are We Having Another Baby? Q&A, Who Says I'm Sorry First? And then also Who Said I Love You First? It's TJ's Birthday Live Q&A, also on the Family Rules. I am recording this live to the best of my ability. One important thing to understand is that Tito Joe Jackson returned a complex in reverse psychology, more so a complex in reverse psychology. So in my suppressed system, I would not have the ability to think through an imposed thought or memory. And my natural placement to think is the placed in shock conditioning. More so with my metabolic system and the things of the areas of my rape and all that other stuff like that, the way that it was applied, if you will, in these circumstances, and just basically because it goes against more so, memory is dwindled and suppressed, not remembering how to speak, compiling because of the triggers. So as a result, my brain functioning would remember the memory of just basically what is imposed, aside from my metabolic system being able to heal properly. I'm trying to, I started this live over several times already. So as a result, when my body calms down, you see that my system is still, because of the compiling and things I spoke of in the evidence on this page, and also the evidence on my Instagram pages. In the DDJF lives that I have more so that I've listed from watching from yesterday until today. The area of it's my birthday, the DDJF, and also the family rules. In I think the best thing I could do right now is to just place it here. May 29th, on the live, I'll May 29th, what was I watching? I want to first speak that this area right here where I'm speaking now, it's not, how can I say, indicative of making someone comfortable. The voice memos that I shared with Tito Joe Jackson are different in composure, if you will, not because of sexual aspects. I do not want to place this in an area of memory according to what was basically done throughout the Family Rules and DDJF and his channel and other places through media and things of that nature. There is no, and I will say it like this, there is no psychologist that can diagnose me according to what they think because of the evidence on my social media pages. Because understanding what my body went through metabolically, I understand the area of the psychology behind complexes created for economic medicine. That is one aspect. The other aspect, the other placement more so is that I will say this, that a psychologist is not obsolete from, I'm having difficulty looking up towards the camera. It's a lot of stuff that had went on in between me making this video. And when in an aspect or whatever the case may be of a psychologist is not obsolete from, if you will, practicing medicine, if you will, or that's the best place that I can put it. There's no implications of lowering someone in society. That has never been. I always in my life sought for balance because I understand what it is for someone to temper you and condemn you constantly. There is as a psychology, in part of psychology, not direct medicine, if you will, but from what occurred with the ICC. This is not the closing of definition in this area. Okay. In DDJF, the first video, Tito Joe Jackson says on May 19th, May 19th, who said I love you first, Q&A. This is going to be a nice 20-minute session. So he used the aspect of, I understand what that placement was. He said Holland, England, the States, South Africa, but then he went to South Africa. He tried to create that version with Brazil, but in presenting actual circumstances of what he meant. Not exactly in that place, actual circumstances of what he meant, not to derail from it. More so where I'm in this area of explaining is because of I'm this is my normal in one of of talking and stuff like that, of talking, this is my normal. It's not something that's consistent in the way that I conversate or discuss or describe and stuff like that. There were aspects with the businesses and cardiologists, as he mentioned through the live, through um, the family rules, that just basically, along with the doctor the nurse practitioner that I posted on my Instagram page, Anina Sapanitsky. With her and stuff like that, they trailed and this is going to bring more so he followed this what they've done with when I was able to go through my voice memos here. He followed just both him and Francis Jackson followed what was done through those places. Just basically, that's conducive to what went on here in this neighborhood and these circumstances. And I will relate this to the debate, not as blame, but as understanding that, not as rescue, more so there is the placement of being a victim, and it turns into being a victim. However, in this case, he suffered me so that the only circumstances that he'll be held accountable as is being a victim. I haven't got a chance to, and in fairness is some rhetoric that they tried to place in an area, especially from postgraduate center. So with the ICC, they set up certain things. Before I go there, or whatever the case may be, before I go there is just the placement of my phonation when I say go there, because I have no area of a lack of expression. And then I get shamed in the area of sex and things of that nature to say that that is the only expression that I understand. And I'll just place that there as a woman. And then my affections are turned all different types of ways. Meaning in social aspects, as a result of everything that has went on. This is not to surface this isn't to surface or to only direct blame towards Tito Joe Jackson or his family. But this is how can I say, he's the one that suffered me and my daughter, especially Francis Jackson. I don't have the ability to process. It's impossible to process when I'm in a situation where the whole country is turned against me and my family. And this is not an opposition of what they're trying to create and conditioning, as they posted on the Family Lives videos. They posted that they will make it like a competition. And then in one aspect, when Tito Joe Jackson they got me used to defending myself on a screen, along with numbing me in my defenses in this neighborhood, focusing only on my love, my kindness, any gestures they found, not gestures, any placement they found, or whatever the case may be, of myself that would protect myself openly. And by provoking, not by, I'm not a person that is violent. But it's like I explained to him in detail, it's like you're in limbo war. And on Tyler Perry's page, Mark Wahlberg, Tyler Perry has on his page of Mark Wahlberg giving description of what my body is going through. So that is more evidence right there. But then my system is now suppressed. And so as a result of all the things they condition, I don't have room to calm down. What the mayor of New York has done on The View, that was the most honest conversation that he's ever had. And he coincides with what happened in California when the Jackson family made me homeless without, and I spent my money looking for refuge. That is a safe place because that is the way that I think. The difference with the ICC, they think as logic. They don't, I think, and it's not an aspect of it came out better before. It's the aspect of they use a way of thinking as logic. In logic, I'm actually thinking. And so for them, they tried to create caps. In turn, one thing that is that they try to create caps in turn. Oh, you're thoughtful, Latanya. When they find out aspects of, according to what they do systematically to Black people, just basically every good aspect of my life and what came from my character, they basically placed it in the area of a cap. And then you have A.R. Bernard. And it's a lot to even explain. I don't have, like I said, I don't have room to process any of this. I don't have room to process any of this. He's not only in an area of sexual harassment, because they already warned me and not warned me, but they already suffered me. And I don't want to make a conclusion of just suffering. I'm using suffered me in its context. So in Methodist Hospital, when on several occasions with the compiling and according to the system with flashback and all the other stuff like that, when I left from Coney Island Hospital, I laid in my bed and I literally had flashbacks back. It just, soon as my body just decided to relax or whatever the case may be, I laid on my bed. When they had me in Coney Island Hospital and they made my heart rate go up. And then just like the ICC, when they gathered, that is not where I'm placing gather around at all. But, and this is not what was the intention of it. And it's very difficult in this place because of how that was. And I mean that in the tense, where it's difficult in that place because of just the area of where Tito Joe Jackson has trailed this down to. The ICC was conscious of him as a person because of Frances Jackson. The pink shoes that she wears in Generations. They suffered me twice to try to scare me. And this is what the confidence that he's building from. This is a part of him as a person. This is not how I've solely viewed him. And this is not an aspect in part where to say I'm solely, it just goes down to this. I'm not that type of person. It sounds catchy, but I'm not I'm not a person as such. So in Coney Island Hospital, as soon as the time when they had the doctor, the African doctor, come upstairs and said, "I'm glad to be here," he turned and he went inside of the nurse's station. When I went and I told him about my heart, because I never understood why it, like, it's not even a place of understanding. It was just the area of just them breaking down my awareness of my system in order to be in acute defense and things of that nature. That it's whatever with the fists and stuff like that. I don't need to, and this is not going off the area of needing to prove, and whatever people decide to say, it's whatever. This is not an aspect of, and it's not even, I don't even have any room to place that right now. But context was added to something that was false. But do you see my train of thinking there? Do you see where in Morse code or whatever, and then by memory? So if I'm reminded of a certain sentence structure according to how my body learned in Morse code, my memory as a result of the suppressed state and then the Morse code, it interferes with the how I place sentence structure when I'm attempting to process. And that is an aspect. He said from the beginning, he's attempting. And that's what exactly, aside from what I just said, for my child. And I'm going to keep this like this. And it has me grasping in my brain what placement that he in that area with the ICC, just basically where he's trying to frame, or whatever the case may be, according to just basically Jamal, but then aspects of what he is doing, and then Jamal Bernard, the screen, or whatever the case may be, while I'm recording, the little flutters and stuff like that on the screen here. As far as making it complicated for me, because on my daughter's birthday and stuff like that, the lawyer, he placed a post on my daughter's birthday after what he trailed off to do. I don't know in the implications, just I'll place in my statement, I do not agree to anything that is deceived through this process of torture. And on the ground, all these things that are going on out here. But before I go there, you see, when I'm trying to actually think, my system tightens up. And it's not just because of the flutters but these are things that are compiled on purpose. I'll place his words there. But this is not the only placement of what his intentions are. I understand these things because I understand people. I don't understand these things because I source to use somebody to learn how they think. That is the placement of how people get at each other, and they have a clear understanding of that. And then him getting to know me through those voice memos, his conscience started to soften because he saw that it wasn't what it. And I think this is right to say. Not as a result of, how can I say, me or something like that. And I'm saying me as a source of my suffering like that. But not as a placement of, and this is not just trailed off in the area of loving someone in that area like that, as to, I think the appropriate words to say, make pretension, according to the suffering. So, and then condition it, same thing with the Pavlov theory. So I'm here suffering. I did watch the Washington Post. It helped me to actually grieve. It helped me. My metabolic system I had to cry. All the torture and being terrorized, what my body has went through, and then being in limbo. And then it took context to suppress my body. So, because it was according to the foundation, just basically of my heart, which is love. Sounds storybook, but it's true. And in placement, this is an area of how I express myself. And then all the other aspects of COVID-19 and all these other things. So I'm not searching to point direct blame on just one person or just sitting around that. And then how that sounds the same, accusing and all this others. I'm not searching for accusing people. That's not my delight. To Jesus Christ. It's not my delight to accuse anyone. Not just because I went through it and now, you know what, I know it's wrong. It's because it's, in fact, yes, my heart has compassion, but it's not disposed. And I think this is the correct aspect. It's not disposed in compassion. Do you understand what I mean by that? So I have aspects of my personality being broken down, and in every area of he doesn't have to do this stuff. And my daughter and I, and then this is, you know what I mean? And then not to remove focus off of Francis Jackson or their family. For whatever instance, they let me understand that the connection or whatever the case may be, and beginning with A.R. Bernard. And then they said, just basically, A.R. Bernard said on his platform, Judah, but then the aspect of them placing all this stuff here. It doesn't make it, for lack of a better word, obsolete of what has happened, what their family have opened their heart to protect me and my daughter. I do believe that came from the substance of their heart, not only because I was understood just basically in a vast context of to apply to nurture other people. That's my delight. That comes from my foundation as a person. This goes even into the judicial system, where the lawyer Emma Ringham gave me $100 gift card. From the ICC, they gave me gift cards and cards and things of that nature. Then Francis Jackson had my child taken away from me. Do I not deserve to grieve in that area? Do I not deserve to feel in that area? Do I not deserve to protect my child in that area? Do I not? And see, I can't look directly in the face right now. I can't do that. But such is not honor. And yeah, I can go into the Bible when it says that. Oh, did I get all of that from the Bible? No. Am I denying the Bible? No. Let me speak about in the stores. Now, on the street and stuff like that, from the Trevor Noah show, he decided to have the guts to speak about what they're going to do to me in the stores. So more so taking claim off of it. So, and also to dwindle down and stuff like that, the aspects of the whole nation being against me and my daughter. And that's not to take away from the aspect of what was done. And I don't in any way I delight in justice. I delight in law. I delight in order and peace. That's not something that's a deterrent. And then even within that, you understand, I even gave him the sober understanding of the balance of everything. And that, in fact, was being able, having, it became too much of a rest. Not to say I got, it's not in the aspect of being comfortable. It became too much of a rest, but it was purposely done like that so he can suppress my system and kill me. Is that something to be fearful of? Soberly, I would say no, because of what not exposed to, but what is understood. And that's the best way that I can put it right now. Can I feel my feelings of scared? And it's difficult to say fear because they've turned that into a complex, not Jen Psaki. In the aspects from what I identify. But I think there's more so, I know that over the White House that there's no, how can I say this? You see, a door slamming makes me breathe. My body is messed up. I'm talking about the glass door downstairs. So in that aspect, or whatever the case may be, not in that aspect, this thing just did again. I'm recording this on another, I don't think it matters because it's not going to pick up what exactly is happening on the screen of this camera unless it shows during it being recorded. But these things are happening, and more so me giving that understanding of it. Let me just get to the point of what I initially was going to. They're suffering my child also. And so here too, I don't want anybody to touch me. My body still remembers that. And the more that I'm forced to be conditioned inside of this area, the more, not numb, the more my metabolic system will shut down. So I'm trying to continue to protect myself from the placement of what I remember now that I'm suffered for to do. So I placed a $20 bill on the counter on the store because I bought bread. I bought bread, cigarettes, and I'm only listening because this is what also not in a it's whatever right now. But Tito Joe Jackson also used the aspects of how I speak. I wrote it down, and I have to take the time to read through it. But in the hospital, and this is the aspect of peaking, the same description on my peaking, like my system peaking. But now that my brain understands soft spots within being terrorized, that my neurons are active within those areas. And so I'm still peaking in that area, but those placements of my neurons in those areas that are soft, if you will, because of conditioning, or made soft because my mind is just basically remembering myself. So as a result, or whatever the case may be, it softens little areas of my brain. So as from the shock, but it's still shock. So I placed the $20 on the counter, but I didn't want, I was hungry and I felt refreshed, or whatever the case may be, and this word here, I'm using that area, but the context of what she placed with feeling, Frances Jackson, what she placed with feeling, I understand what my body went through according, and when they started communicating with the Russians in this area, as far as contextually and everything, but it was difficult to source. Not source. It was difficult in that aspect, in that placement. But on May 19th, on Who Said I Love You First, Holland, England, the States, South Africa, that is Tito Joe Jackson threatening President Obama. Lord have mercy, President Joe Biden. So on May 19th, Who Said I Love You First, Holland, England, the States, South Africa, that is Tito Joe Jackson, for lack of a better word, threatening, however, using intimidating tactics. But then he placed Brazil as a way of his thinking in the area of this is basically what I won't. This is what is done here with the ICC. But the same thing that he did with President Barack Obama, when he said this is the third on the family rules, this is the third. He said that the things that they're going to be discussing to do to my daughter, that he was going to place that on President Barack Obama. And then also do DDJF. He's clearly expressing that he is, for lack of a better placement, but not understanding, threatening both President Barack Obama and President Joe Biden. In the hospital, a woman, a nurse, not nurse practitioner, the one that had it stamped from, they had things set up where they let me out of the hospital without a signature. They sent the letter that I wrote to the Supreme Court that would be backdraft off, or whatever the case may be, to be an area of, they threatened Dr. Jill Biden inside of the hospital. The same way with, I won't place it in the area of when they were taking my temperature and stuff like that. It is true that they did threaten, but it was more so, I can't process that area. So I have to, from that post that he posted there, he cannot place an area until I have understanding. And it's the same way that there's no, and I know in the aspect that he did that in order to cause diversion for people not to care for my child, as if this is some rooting thing. This is not the aspect, my placement of that, and I'm tempted to say my position. I've understand that more so, and I can put places in the area locally within dealing with the judicial system. But it pushes certain information out of context the more that he's shock conditioning these situations. The best thing I can say that I understand when I mention an area like that, I have to put a placement to protect this not being obsolete or turned into just solely victimization, because it was not just solely victimization. I don't know if the area of you not seeing my eyes is going to affect what is done and stuff like that. I'm very much aware of being in the camera here in the hallways. I did it on purpose. He wasn't portraying my behavior there to say that he's doing for them to say that they're doing it because of me. So right now there's a mental block because you don't understand. I understand how you love people. Love doesn't. And then in his page he mentioned about criticizing. I don't even have the room to place that there. to tell you the truth. But it is my child. And they've tested. They've provoked. And this is exactly what was done exactly with Holland, England, the States, South Africa. He provoked the president. But it's not just chaos. This is, and then the implications, the things that he may have done to others. I'm not looking for a vendetta. And it's not because I'm tortured. That's not the substance of my heart at all. I've never been like that since I was young. I never will be like that. Now, a person can get tempted in those areas, but then you understand the foundation of your heart and your own character. Character simply, it changes those aspects. It just does. And I think I said it there, and then such as I can say would be right to place it there, because that's such as my suffering of my, I want to say fucking brain, but that's the suffering of my brain. So from what they did in Google, that my brain will relax after I say no about something. Do you see how horrific and fucking disastrous that is? And now little places that can be called temperament in my expression is now placed in that area. But from the hospital, they raised my heart rate up. And they waited until before my heart had bursted. All the nurses circled around me. The NYPD repeated that while I was sitting on the beach. Aside from what he mentioned about the conversations in the car and my womb. This is reflex of what is. We are not the same. So in the hospital, the woman Dorothy, I forgot her. I do not remember her last name. The woman Dorothy, she stood at the door. She stood like this. But she reflected that that's how they're going to suffer me. But she was mocking the president and his wife. So she was acting as if she was the president's wife. She's the one she signed and it got stamped and sent to the Supreme Court. And that was just basically to say that this is my wording, to try to make obsolete of my own aptitude, my own genius. And is in fact a word. It's not something that's bordered or boring. It's in fact somebody should be, one doesn't look for esteem in something that they already understand and are aware of within themselves and are content within themselves with. There's room for esteeming. There's room for spurring on. There's room for holding up, and there's a room for accountability, But with Holland, England, the States, South Africa, also in the live, he used the reference to provoke the military by using the aspects of my cousin Darren. And just to finish, Holland, England, the States, South Africa, Brazil, threatening to the President Joe Biden. Remember it, but he was more so saying, remember, it was the ICC when he said Brazil. We are not perfect parents. Placement of saying that, speaking to them in conversation form, this is where we will turn in this and make arguments of two different stories. So in the story yesterday, when I placed the $20 bill, and then I walked back because I said I will want to get water or whatever. I was trying to just count in my brain what I wanted to get as much as I could before I went to the store. And so in that, or whatever the case may be, I put the $20 on the counter. And then while I'm watching while I'm able to follow the details of it, then also he specifies that he's going to make it difficult. He gives more specifics of how he's going to make it difficult for my train of thought, if you will. Then they're saying that they're going to make this as an excuse. We are not close to them in parenting role or will be in the future. Expression to cover trying to may have that area be obsolete within its provoking and threat. How did you meet? What Jamal Bernard spoke with, how, or get the correct word. More so, I was trying to think in this area because I was not doubt, because doubt is of actually that can be explained later. But because of them, we are going to deter the truth. We have two different versions, his, mine, and the truth. And this is what they're actually delighting in within themselves. I wouldn't say more so this is their sole confidence. And just like I broke down on my page with the will, and things of that nature. He doesn't have the best memory. So she was saying that just basically, she's not going to remember anyway because of what we're going to do. Frances Jackson suffered to kill me and my child because she wanted to feel good as a person. And this is going to be live. My daughter, I can't even explain stuff to her. Do you understand that? From one thing my daughter does remember, and I think as a result of my mistake of speaking this right now, and I'm just going to leave that there. This is not provoking. This is what this is that on the train, when they did that to my daughter, because I have to bring my daughter back now, if she hears this, is that a reality of it is that on the train, when they had that young therapist that looked like Sasha Kimiatek, and I didn't know that these people were threatening my child. And here I go again, the elongated part. It's not making anything safe. But as to say none of my intellectual property is my own, that it's not my own thinking or processing or my own genius or on my own application or my own skill or these natures, I can deal with that. What I can't deal with is being suffered. And it's still suffering, but what I can't deal with is torture. I'll put it like that. And my child and all these threats that I can't even process, especially with the mayor of New York, Governor Kathy Hochul. But I understand that President Joe Biden, you are aware of those things because I saw and I say this more so not in like a unapplicable or not a source of a way of not giving respect, or from what the mayor has done, it and I'm going to have to say that for myself, fucked up my memory. And so he gave me, I already understood that from what all these things have occurred and what everybody has done, even through social media, that my grandmother and my grandfather are gone. And my heart was rested in what my grandmother left me. So that's where this affection comes from. Not affect. But then to make matters worse, I can't even speak to my mother I can't even speak to my mother. And my child is suffering. And then what they did was they used me to interrogate my child only because Tito Joe Jackson thinks from what society has done to him that my child is going to be a threat to him. So that, and I'm not going to treat him like they treated me, exasperated him. I have recordings that the ICC placed of trying to form a place of me going with mental illness because they understood that I identified in that, not just my emotional intelligence. So they wanted to try to only source it down to the debates and from the witness that President Obama had spoke about with telekinesis. If I said that in the correct wording, how he said it when Trevor Noah was interviewing him. The focus Jesus Christ. And then when it comes to Jesus Christ, my name has been accused. They follow what the ICC has done. And even for those that place that context throughout my whole page, especially Black people that understand it for themselves, they know these aspects of what has been done. They know the culture. So they know. Am I going to call them whatever? No, there's a sober understanding to know, hey, this is what fuels racism. In part. Then I'm suffered to stop there. But I will place it in the areas, my mindset in a type of way where is this getting back at somebody? No, I don't have room for that at all. So I guess she's mature in the mature aspects because my mind would process just basically because I processed my maturity throughout the years. He studied that through my Facebook page. I've listed some of those things. I've matured as a woman. So that mindset and understanding that area right there. But these people even understood my social media too. But you know what they did? I have no one. So in order to suffer my heart, and you elapse it in that place, so I can't process how I feel about Frances Jackson properly and have her suffer me even more. It was her delight because by saying no one, but she was using the temperament of sound according to my frontal lobes. So it was actually not my heart, but it was actually, she was torturing me through sound over the Family Rules Live. So even though it didn't apply that I knew that I know that I'm not no one, the phonation, for lack of a better term, that she was using was tempering that for my subconscious to dwindle. And it more so, I don't even know where the focus was. I just know and when it comes to I have to process that. But what it does with the sound, with the ears and stuff like that, and how I have to process that area. But still, and then he expects me to go back to Bernard as a mindset which he knows is not correct. That would be continued torture, but as a scapegoat to say that she doesn't deserve any kind of presidential, I don't know why I looked up right now, but that she doesn't deserve any kind of comfort. Who the fuck does he think he is? Seriously. And so he puts a cap when he mentions Beyonce because I've listened to her music and I relate to her heart as to stir up discrepancy. But I'm going to take it in the mindset of how he does it. Did you know? But I'm going to say, did you know in it? Did you know that he threatened Beyonce? But then I'm going to be gentle in this area. But he used Beyonce to spur his wife on to have confidence, quote unquote, bearing witness to what the ICC has done. And so what happens is, or whatever the case may be, and I don't say wife willfully, regardless if it is his wife or not. And it's not the aspect if it is, isn't, if what is, isn't, what isn't, is. That's what actually kept my mind. Because understanding my focus, it wasn't a distortion of anything. It was plainly what you're experiencing now, understanding the aspect of the suffering. It's not the reversal of psychology. I even put the placement of it, and I speak about it in my lives or inside this phone. I know I've spoken it to myself while being tortured, and I wasn't hearing voices. Am I in denial? They placed that in a special area for me when that situation happened to me, when I was beat. That was the placement of them showing me that this is we are doing the wrong thing. That's the first time that I was taken in Coney Island Hospital. That's what they gave me for a realization. You know what else they did? When they got me inside the room, after taking x-rays of my chest, they had the security officer corner me as if he was going to tackle me. And because my body was so sensitive from telekinesis, what he did, or whatever the case may be, was he forwarded towards me. And that's what I felt. And I didn't process what exactly he was doing. So as a result, what Tita was setting up for me to attack if I go to the presidency is, according to one of the lives, through Morse code, through all of that other stuff like that, not attack, but the placement of just basically, I haven't processed that area yet with everything that has occurred. And it's not the basis of my intellectual property. But that there would be some type of, he's placing it as, if you help her, just basically what he said with Michelle Obama in the live that just basically he talked about when he used Beyonce to give stirred confidence for her, that if you help her child, but he started in the basis with Beyonce, but if you help her child, I'm going to pin what I said about you in a provoke or in what I'm going to carry out from just basically when he said 3. But if I didn't identify that correctly from the lives that identify it from what I've listed and stuff like that, that this is what he was going. And so it doesn't sound like hearsay, if you will. It's not hearsay because it's conducive to just basically my suffering and my memory, but it still is applicable in fact. So and no, they threatened me. So just basically what you see in the behavior analysis with those lawyers there, they're going off the last lawyer that I had in the case with my daughter. So he was the temperament to say that now that I'm understanding the whole picture of this, that this is what is going to happen. But what he used the aspects of we're ignoring. And that's not applicable to another area or whatever the case may be. It's kind of like glued in that area because of being through social media. This is difficult to even express because they source information to people because they knew according to their hearts how they would protect, and they don't know me. So I will say that. And even if they know about me or aspects of me or any kind of placement of me, I have not built that type of relationship with them. And that's the best way that I can say it right now. In this place, it's a disservice to me because of the hurt that's in my heart. And so as to have false prophecies, quote unquote, I'll use that in that placement, but this in the same area of the intellect of the ICC, just basically. And I keep on saying basically, but it's trailed down the young women that they used inside. They had them say little catch things or whatever to me. So little frames of word to travel through for just basically, but to scare away, they use younger nurses. One behaved like Chanel Patterson. The older nurses that surrounded me, it feels like blood is coming out of my throat and stuff like that. The taste of it feels very warm, and I don't know exactly what. I watched the video and it felt this side of my brain, this is my left side. It felt like something burst and my whole brain started feeling as if it was flooded. So I don't know what is now exactly going on with my body. And this is not a result of anything else. The only thing, it was out publicly. The only thing that stood on Biggie's birthday and stuff like that. I don't understand the area of everything that has went on. The full area of what has went on. But I understood in the picture when Little C's stood behind Little Kim that he was protecting her. And so he loved me how I look at it is that he loved me as he loved himself. That's how I truly look at it. When I saw that picture, regardless of what he may have felt or anything like that. And this is not, and they're going off the aspect of when I mentioned about just basically blood and all the other stuff like that growing up. I don't even know where to put this because it's sourced description, more so not knowing how to explain that, learning the heart, more so about the streets and all the other stuff like that. But this is a temperament, not a temperament. The dude upstairs is just jumping on his floor. This is a placement or whatever the case may be. I'm not looking to be tossed and turned everywhere. I need a safe place where I can process this. What makes this safe in the space of my thought right now is the fact of the same preparation. The fact of the preparation, and then since me smoking cigarettes, so it will excel the sweating or whatever the case may be, but it won't exactly. And then off of just basically in the store, they knew as far as my system or whatever the case may be. If you, I don't know how to put this. Me burping, that's not the full aspect of what that area of the burping is. Like this is the murmur. Just I don't even know how to play. I don't know how to place it right now because of the distortion and everything like that. But you also understand that the placement of it. So I'm not gonna place it in that area. But this is not my body's conditioned to speak. Just like it's just like the area of where when with my hand or whatever the case may be, that I'll touch my leg as conditioning as a result of a thought of something. Not a thought, a thought of literally a thought of something that's not conducive to just basically what is occurring. So just basically, if the same place, if I touch my eye, if I say a certain word, or I touch my nose, or I touch my mouth, if I say a certain word, from what was conditioned. Let me finish this. Trailed it down to Factors 208 and Who Said I Love You First. October 5th, October 4th, or the 5th. It was a Saturday, October 4th, 1998. Should have been a Saturday. He's mentioned 20 My daughter's now 20 years old. I contacted him after I contacted the White House recently via the website because of what they provoked in this neighborhood, and then reviewing this thing here. And then, but he gave specifics that doesn't distort from what he's done. It doesn't scare. A threat is not going to scare me. My child's life. I told him what I'm scared of. And that's what I'm scared of. And a person is just like understanding yourself. You know more of what you're scared of, what you're fearful of. There is placement of fear within these things. There's also fear as a healthy fear and family and things of that nature. I didn't just learn that from there. I learned it. Do you see? And then they had me by memory speak certain things about my family that I didn't even process. And I left it on Bernard's voicemail when he was doing what he was doing to me. Jamal Bernard purposely, they had me come to because I already dress up. And then he tried to trail it down that I'm dressing up only for a man. But they quote unquote, for lack of a better word, set all that stuff up. The only thing they focused on, the aspects to show that they understood in their conscience that none of that stuff applied, was what they focused on my health. Not just something, well, she doesn't, according to psychology, that if someone's an unruly child predator or something like that, quote unquote. And it's not the aspect of what the ICC trailed through social media with what they've done. And then in the aspects of what was starting to uproar, they're trying to say that that was a result of me from what they try to politically change, where open sex groups started, or child sex groups started over social media being open about their desires. That's none of my desires at all. That's none of my desires. Savage or not, war or not, that's none of my desires. I shouldn't even be speaking this area in this should be something that's said in context of privacy. I'm able to, this is not a result of, one thing I can identify is that this is not a result of watching the video that affirmed Michelle Obama and Barack Obama, just them gathering just basically myself for my child. But because my brain is able to identify that area of communication, so I'm starting to speak that as a result of just basically how my brain has suffered. So they couldn't put in an aspect of me hearing voices, just basically because with sound, you manipulate the best way that I can put this, if you manipulate sound, if the and they're trying to claim that your mind is strong. There's some of the things that they've said to me in postgraduate, because they placed me under hypnosis with a ha. And so, but they did it according to when I started feeling hysteria. That was the only natural place of hysteria as a result of the deaths when COVID-19 was being listed. And hysteria in its place, I broke down the understanding of it. It's not a mental illness. It's actually a result of the grieving. That's the best place that I can put it right now. But it's a placement of emotion. But even with Greek understanding, you know that there's an area with the thought they were in war and things of that nature. So it's like, it's not like, but you have it in the placement of it where they're like it doesn't make it obsolete. Their replacement, And this is things they're trying to pad off of, trying to break down my character. That's why when she relates to my daughter in conversations in the car with lust, my daughter's 20 years old. She was 17, but guess what else? She was 8. If you're a mother, understand that, Francis Jackson. Oh, that's the best way that I can say it. That's my suffering. That's my agony. That's not my fear. Is this aggression? No. Is this an example of the president? No. This is an example of the substance of my heart. It's not fear. I don't fear cowardice. And I'm rallied in, I'm more so placed in this name. Is it because all of America is threatening something? Am I just getting it out here and this be it? No. This is actually me processing. Funny enough, or whatever the case may be, my mind was just reminded of the placement of speaking about Tito Joe Jackson and the placement of holding my heart as a husband and stuff like that. Is this an area or whatever of, is this childish recollection? No. Coughing, I'm not a Russian. You guys understood that area. Do you understand that I would never suffer somebody? Is that what makes me different from you? I wouldn't belittle myself in that area to say so. And the only thing that pushes me in this area right now is because you still are a woman. But this is the tiny part of the aspect of myself that has the inkling left because I'm sweating and because of the cigarettes. Do I need you to blame for all of that? Did it give me something to be angry at you with, baby girl? No, it didn't. It truly didn't. Is this placement of keeping you away from me? No, because I'm in the context of who I am. Is it going off of in a placement of law, a certain area of thought? It's the same in application of the person. Here's some of the other things that they shock condition. Oh, Trump, or whatever the case may be. First, it was the money. So they stopped that through the facial expressions, through turning this way and the Russians in this neighborhood and stuff like that. And this is no slanderous aspect of President Trump at all. Because regardless, he still was in, he served as a president. And so when I thought of other aspects or whatever the case may be of another placement, did you remind yourself that in my statement that I said, I hate sin, but I will never hate someone's being, because I didn't put that person's being there. I didn't put your being there. Being there. I still like how that sounds there, because it's still applicable there. I don't know. Whatever. But in that same place, I didn't put your being in your heart. I didn't put Joe Jackson's being in his heart. God puts eternity in all the hearts of men. He desires for us to have fulfillment and fulfillment in life. But let Bernard be your encouragement, because the same reason why he said to me, let me go to Bernard, is the same reason what your dependence, he's understood your dependence has been on too. And what Jamal Bernard, do you see that the more you continue, it bears witness to what you have done? All of you. See, this is not the placement of interrogation. I'm getting there. Not interrogation, of de-escalating. I'm getting there. I'm not there yet. I understood that was what I needed to do. But then even the hard place for me is that in that aspect of understanding that is a part of my skill. because of my thinking and because of not what I've been exposed to, but because of the way that I think, my ingenuity, my adapt, and my quickness. Not quicken like the church. I'm not them. I never will be them. I've said that to the Arab in the store because I tried to make peace, not the same peace as modern day slavery. Tribal markings is what I wrote on that poll. Try a little harder. But what I mean by that is love yourself. Do you know, and I think about Tracy, do you know that he threatened all these people? He threatened Motown. He threatened Michelle Obama. He threatened Barack Obama, but he sourced because they knew they were going to. Why do you think in politics and stuff like that, that even the Department of, and it makes me feel like I'm sounding cocky here, but it's a gasp in my brain actually when I get here. So that's what you did with that sound. Makes me quell like that. Thank you for suffering me. It did hurt. It did torture me. It did. I don't even know that place, but that's what that did. That's exactly what it did. But what else can I, where else can I have to continue describing what's going on? See, this is my delight in justice, but the gasp for air, that's actually my heart. That's my heart reacting to that, because the brain and the heart is connected. Did you know that? Did you know that you sourced to kill me? Let me remind myself so I could not ground myself, but maybe I said that correct word right because of my child. Oh, I guess the Russians and stuff like that, that you had to present a factor where when I come from Bernard and I wear glasses and things of that nature and stuff like that. And so the Russian guy that represented my baby father, and then you got the Russian family, he stood in front of me to put a block. So they repeated it in the store with the Mexicans and made me stand in front of him. And then the Russians tossed me, and it's basically what happened with that. So they reenacted the reaping, so they tossed me. So when Tito had mentioned something about something, this happened like 2 weeks ago or something like that. So what happened was that I went to go ask for a cigarette. That when Tito mentioned about I'm basically just going around the neighborhood. See, my brain was only able to understand social aspects to going to talking to people. And I see that you're going to try to source the president on that, President Joe Biden. Don't try it. But you see, talking to people. And so my brain, from what they did, and they tortured me in the hospital, was they were giving out free cigarettes. So as a result or whatever, I go around the neighborhood or whatever. See, I will place this in this area. No, I'm not even going to go there. I'm going to leave that there. Not because my cousin is there, but because my cousin is there. But not because my cousin is there, but because I care. But as a result, or whatever the case may be, and that sound, I'm lessening my character by saying that. And it's a suffering because I can't explain it. That's what matters to me, my own heart and my child. People, let's generalize that. That's your perfect blueprint, the ICC. But did you know that the source was me, and then whatever connection I have to the Jackson family that I had no idea of? Me and my daughter were fine, but then you destroy our lives to kill us? What do you think that you can get from destroying, from torturing? What do you gain from torturing someone? And this is applicable to everybody with your mindset, everybody who follows you, everybody who, I guess for the aspect of, let me suffer her now in her music, as to suffer her mind more, as your boo, Tito Joe Jackson, as he says, as he does over social media with my music. So that enlightened my brain so as to suppress my system more. See, it's not just the fact of what I like, it's the fact of my memory in the context of what's going on with my body right now. That's the intentions, is to kill me. And then he sourced it back because my mind is in a place where I can't. See, so after this, in this environment, my mind is going to go right back to suffering again. And I have nowhere to place myself. Is this an excuse for my cigarettes? Now I sound like I'm defending them. And that's the aspect of whatever the case may be right now. My cigarettes are the result of, they're my cigarettes. Now you've attempted to allow me or have me to personify it, because in no placement, and I don't even need to say that, but you had me to personify it. And this is not a clapback. Trust me, babe, it's not. Such as the Roxy. It's just coming out. This is the thank you to Tito Joe Jackson. Anything that you find in a placement of temperance that will come out as an offense to your family, because that's his heart. So right now, you see his heart and my crushed soul. But you can't just see my soul anymore, because my pupils aren't dilated. My eyes aren't able to just open like this. It's just lapsed down like this as a result of my head going down. Do I want to start stuff? No. I sound like a baby saying that. But did you know in those aspects that they suffered my brain to the placement? Because in science, what they think and what they contribute to science in complex is the fact that the mind, they related to a baby, such as Kathy Hochul and abortion rights and the mocking that she gave. They study the science according to abortion. So when I confess that I had an abortion, I'm not against, but in the aspect of it, I'm not for it. Because, and that's the best way I can put it, because in the aspect of it, if you get raped or for health, but I don't think in my suffering growing up, just basically abortions was something we had in subjection. That's the difference about motive. And it doesn't place it in a public assistance mindset. That's just the area of the suffering. They study that. So as to continue the abortion in the people that they torture and they suffer according to what this stuff is going on. Stem cells, that's why you have stem cell research. One aspect of it, I think I jumped the gun with that one. But one aspect of it. And then as a result, or whatever the case may be, is that your body, and let me be careful because I'm being careful in an aspect, and I'm not mentioning her name in that aspect. But one aspect of whatever the case may be, but it is a part of it. That is left in memory of relating to it. This is not an aspect of how can I say, this is not an aspect of any type of threatening or whatever the case may be. In that placement, not because of, how can I say this? Amen. The Queen of England. The Queen of England, just basically when she cut the cake or whatever the case may be, and she understood just basic with the Queen of England, with everything and what's going on, just basically with my mind. Jesus Christ, with what's going on with my brain. So yeah, so I'm gonna stop there. I'll stop there. But here we go. But this is the result of hmm, but in abortion, um, in abortion, I don't even know where to continue with that, to tell you the truth. As a result of what just happened. Uh Not what I said, whatever the case may be. Hmm. Uh, so any aspect, they understand whatever they know. I'll place it this way. I'm trying to think of why that happened that way in language when I spoke of that right there. Because I imagine that then that will become a placement of national um, security or whatever the case may be. Um, so this is my conscience here speaking it, and then it can be tempted to come off as a relationship of leaving it there as if I'm having a relationship, um, because I don't know that area of context and just basically what it was done. And but what was placed there, and plus as a result of earlier, where when just also followed what was compiled, just as they attempted to do with they try to source it from with my grandfather, with the mayor, and then from compiling and things of that nature. Just basically, I can't explain it. But anyway, I'll leave that part. That can be room to speak about. Um, for lack of a better term, whatever. So you were just coming out of a divorce from the honest placement of A.R. Bernard, agreement of what he has done to go in that area, involved that 9 years, 8. The 9, I don't know. Okay, speaking about my grandfather's death, uh, I think a safe place to put this is that I've already sent the already sent the um the note to the White House already. I want to cry here because I want to stop suffering. That's why. That's why, or whatever the case may be. That's the source of my agony. That's not a place of my agony. That's not in what what right now? Like, I don't want all of this. This is trailed down to, I just want all of this to stop. And this is not just the sole area of it. This is not the sole area of it at all. So speaking about my grandfather's death, Not My Things. That's when he said here to kill her. And then he placed the ICC there also. Snakes, What the Indicator of a Snake. He knew about helping me. The signing on the wall. Threw it out there for intention for media to follow. Switch roles when it comes to a certain point was reflective of just basically how she showed placement of me as a person, of how I not related to people in the ICC, but more so had relationship with them. And then they're sourcing off of a relationship that I had with a woman there named Joyisha Johnson. And so because the ICC, they source just in all the language of it, everything the same way that he gave indicated for them to let me know that he's esteeming them in some type of way to do this stuff to me. The same thing with the cardiologist and the cardiologist and the cardiologist and the cardiologist and one thing I'm also concerned about here is because if you see, this is my nervousness. So if a person sees that area or whatever the case may be, then not to be manipulated, because that's what he was searching for. My nervousness, what I'm nervous about. And so, but I'm still going to post this live. So the 9 a.m. and then he placed it, he placed the 9 a.m. the same thing, the aspect of whatever the case may be, that he sourced his son with it. Excuse me. So he sourced his son with the 9 a.m. But he said it in the initial live and stuff like that, Q&A, the 9 a.m. And so that wasn't the first episode that I saw. And then he also has a deal with YouTube, some type of business making with YouTube. I don't know when that came into placement. I just know that from what they were doing already. So people, from what they connected themselves with and contributing to what happened through software and everything like that, or whatever the case may be. It brought to a place or whatever for people to do bribes. More so based in just basically context and stuff like that. Okay, so and this is not full nervousness. This is because of the way that my body is. And if this is something that he does from what he was searching for already, he will try to find a way to, I don't even know how to put this. because just with when they got his daughter Lexi has the tattoo here, obsessed, or whatever the case may be, that with it, or whatever the case may be, now this plate goes in this placement here, then he's saying Beyonce, and then all this other stuff like that. So then that also reminds me, or whatever the case may be, also reminds me of the woman that, Jesus Christ. Now this is going to place, when I get off of this live, this is going to place me back also in shock. This is going to be a conditioning to place me back in shock. Because while I'm also speaking, my mind, aside from, along with the context in it, I don't know how to place this. And then right now, my breathing, or whatever the case may be, it's now I'm starting to go into a slow. Okay. So the important point, I spoke the important points of just basically those areas, but portraying weakness from what the ICC has done by memory, so that I cannot explain. What made it harder for me is that my strength were drawn, and this is the Jesus Christ, my strength were drawn out intellectually, then broken down. The difference, the difference between what has happened and not an area of blame, because this is not the sole way that he was communicating with me. It was through Morse code and through telekinesis, and it sounds absurd in that place, in this I don't even know how to place this now. I'm going to stop this, and then I'm going to continue it with the rest of the things here. And I'm still going to tag the president in this, and also tag the president in this, and tag First Lady Joe Biden, President Barack Obama, Michelle Obama, and Vice President Kamala Harris. So I'm going to stop here, and I'm going to take a break, and I'm going to post this. Today's date is July 5th, 2002. Um, yeah. All right. And this is Latanya Walters. Latanya Michelle Walters. Instagram pages, Michelle Jackson 13. But before I finish, one thing that I need to explain is that I do not have, and this is not the reason why I'm placing this here. This is a part of the reason because I'm suffering this right now. But in that area, or whatever the case may be, is that with countries, lawyer, socially, music, everything, it's not imaginable for me to live in an apartment while being actually triggered on purpose. And then when I go to buy food or anything like that, that doesn't relieve itself. I'm gonna be trying to defend myself and mustering something to say. That's not the aspect of, I don't even know where to place that, but when it goes to that, I'm gonna be mustering something to say. The aspect is a feeling is not character. A feeling is a part of what a person feels, but it's not the substance of a person's heart. It's not the substance of a person's heart. What I'm feeling now is not, I cannot feel as far as when I'm in this place and the way that this sounds, I'm just like, it is. I'm not able to, there's no social aspects that are, I'm not able to live. Neither is my child. My child, my child, neither do I want some type of disrespect to my character as an area of she's just speaking stuff, whatever. Because that's not me either. Or somebody to try to turn it into that. Even if I was to be at home, it would be have to be constant, it'll turn into constant shock conditioning. Because these people didn't, I'm not sending these people voice memos and things of that nature in order to in what has went on. And I'm not sending, I didn't build intimacy with these other people that are helping me on the outside. This prolongs into this will turn into shock conditioning. I don't have it's not an area of an outlet. Socially, he's depleted all of that from me. Everything. My child suffering my daughter at work. My daughter is trying to tell, I couldn't, still the source of, I couldn't identify. I heard it. I understood there's aspects of it. But I just basically didn't, or whatever the case may be. I didn't, with my child, I did not, it's same placement that I could not identify how she was being harmed, and then at work. And this is the plan here. And so the resolve will be more so of this live is that I asked to visit the White House formally in order to resolve this and to speak with Jen Psaki. And this is not, and then to speak with Jen Psaki and to be able to be prepared in speaking with the president. So my daughter and I and my family, my daughter and I and my family can live. There's nothing. My daughter's tolerating it because of what they suffered her in foster care. I will do a second live in order to finish the rest of these things. But I have to calm myself down, and I am going to go to the store to buy cigarettes. I know that this is not pointing blame. I'm saying this more so for my protection, to know that I am going to the store. I'm going to the store to buy cigarettes and little things here and there. How does this sound? This is... I know that it's not going to stop getting used to something, but if I'm sourced in this in one place, not to play in placing any kind of blame, because also the reminding of this is, it's not even there. It didn't, what I will say about this is it didn't place itself completely in those areas from the understanding that he has about Luke Speckman and the emails and all the other stuff like that, of how the ICC has prepared. They tried to, and I'll speak about that in another live or whatever the case may be. But more so that not temperance, but to just to finish from apart from where I was talking about earlier, is that from the area of oh, it's my train of thought. And I can't help. Then also my family. As far as the communication, as far as that not being the only place of how he was communicating, according to my focus, that's how I knew what to respond. And you guys know that already, because you guys are forming it in the ways that the Washington Post is communicating, not the full strategy of it, but pieces of it. So parts of it, so that it wouldn't, I'm thinking in an aspect more so, it's, I don't know how to place this, but as the way that it wouldn't over it wouldn't place my metabolic system in a, it will provide some stabilization. So that's not, so in that area, that's not, you know what I mean? That's not the full method of it. That's just my brain relaxing from it. And that's the result of just basically also, but it's elapsing, not relaxing. My brain is actually elapsing. So I need to be in a safe place for me and my daughter. And I'm not talking about shifting to another. It's just going to send me back in shock. Even going to a hospital, they've made sure that it will be a trigger for me to go to a hospital. And Methodist Hospital, the guy understood just basically my focus. And then he said, he distorted an aspect of me communicating with him. And then I leaned, and then when I was walking, he laughed when I was walking away. And I said, whoa, because I didn't know what was happening to my body. But it's the same thing of the feeling like things are, I don't know how to put it. But using that as a source, I'll just place it, using that as a source. And then also in the phases or whatever the case may be, the doctors were trying to condition my body to be paranoid, and I wasn't paranoid. And then they gave me the understanding of opposite banter or nonchalant banter in order to, and then they did the opposite of what I went in there crying because I didn't know what was happening to me. So, but then they released me when I'm a person that was supposed to be there according to what they were teaching me that was happening to my body. And that's the best way that I can place that right there. And so with the ICC, they were trying to fit a formulative, in other way of thinking to say, this is my behavior. First, they tried to use the Bible in that way. And then the same thing happened with what they did with psychiatry. That's not the reason why I understand all this stuff about my body and the my lives explaining exactly what was going on with my body during the time that it was happening. But I literally cannot live in America. Neither can my child. And it's no excuse because she has a job. That's a dishonor to herself and her body, her mind, and everything that she's went through. And I don't even know and I'm not ashamed of it. I'm suffered of it, that I don't even know everything that happened to my daughter, and to hear bits and pieces, but in degrading my child and particularly delighting in speaking about this stuff. How can I process anything or even speak to my child? I'm afraid to even talk to her because of how they manipulate it, because she suffered in the same way. So I'm afraid to talk to her. But then when my brain can actually muster calling her, then I'll call her. But then I scared her because the social aspects, when he pushed it to the point or whatever the case may be, that when I basically just moving from the social aspects, when he started breaking down everything, because he went on the context of wanting understanding. And then I'm in the midst of and then NYPD being involved also in our phones, because they did the same. They followed. They were consistent in what they were doing because they thought they were going to one up something, the opportunity, just like the mayor has described on what he rules. That's his heart. When he spoke on the Trevor Noah show, my child is not safe physically. I'm not safe. Grown men, they showed me just basically through how they would speak, people that I knew from years ago. And she was 17 then. And then I'm still in this neighborhood. And I can't move anywhere. Because if I call a landlord based on the history, just basically of, and that's the difference between that. But based on the history, but that's not the difference between that. But based on the history or whatever the case may be, and then I sound like I'm speaking as myself as a child. But based on the history of just basically what the human rights set up, that's what they're going to travel around, because people are on, and it's going to be a continuing of shock conditioning. I literally do not have a safe place anywhere in America right now, anywhere in the United States right now. And then countries, how do I even process that? Who do I process that with? I can't put that on my child. And then not even being able to process the stuff with my daughter, what she's feeling as a result, and me sending her some of these things, but not in a source of, this is how the ICC taught. It's your fault. But then my grandmother never raised me like that. And being spoiled, I was pampered. And it's my right to be pampered. It's my gentleness to be pampered. My grandmother loved me. She took care of me. My grandparents took care of me. And then along with my expression is in a way of being only not mundane, but such in shock what they did with my eyes and stuff like that, everything not being relaxed, and conditioning according to Pavlov theory, that my expression when I feel one way, then it places me more in shock with my facial expressions, knowing myself, that I can't understand why my eyes are looking this way. And I know how I feel and why I express when I feel this. That doesn't mean that a person is mundane. That means that my subconscious is still active. You bear witness within yourself before it comes out. That my body is just not handicapped. My body is tortured and terrorized, terrified, suffered, suppressed. My daughter, I have no idea, but I have it. I know. It makes me sound like I don't care about my child. And that's far from the truth. But God bless you. And I pray that this live will be placed in good good processing, good, good. And then there's no resources for me either. That's another thing. New York City Well doctor's office taking care of my body. They made sure when I went to this place here, where I was taking my COVID test, they suffered me in there to induce me in shock. And then they were playing what's the Criminal Minds. I used to watch because I like analyzing. That's the reason why I would follow the show. They had Criminal Minds on, and the girl, she tested to see if I cared about my own body. And when they were trying to resurface or refocus the shock or do whatever according to how they were trying to break down my body, it was a Mexican girl. Then she went next, and they followed the basis on what Funkadelic Studios and the ICC did as far as on the ground, aside from A.R. Bernard and Tito Joe Jackson and Francis Jackson and whatever other involvement the Jackson family has with it or taking claim of, especially with Prince in Paris and my child. It doesn't matter if they're white. It doesn't matter if racist or whatever the case may be. That'll be an extra thrill. No, it's not a thrill at all. Again, this is my child, and this is not a result of anything. These are placements of just place of thought of what is such. It's not picking and choosing either who to respect and who to not. I don't have room to do any of that at all. But I can't go to the doctor. I can't do anything. I can't take care of myself. Only thing I could do is go to the store and buy food. And what they did as a result of me given evidence of what Jamie Foxx just basically showed what happened, what A.R. Bernard did to me with the pee bag over my lap. And then EMS, aside from 911, I can't call 911. I literally can't call 911. I can't go in an ambulance. In an ambulance, they've made it so that they had a cop back there. And she distorted my thinking too by saying we don't take cards, but the simplicity of it, or whatever the case may be, was that the way my processing, they were using that area to trail my brain down to in reverse to just simplicity of thinking. And then when they understood that my brain wasn't placed that way, then that even bears witness that they're not in control. And it didn't make any sense to me how someone can sit here and willfully mention and speak about that. That goes to show with the intentions of someone's heart. When you decide to suffer someone unjustly and do these things for what your motive and your attention is, that the spirit already bears witness, just basically to the spirit bears witness. And turning my head or whatever the case may be for whatever that, because I know that would, when you turn your head, that would mean no, or whatever the case may be. But when Tito Joe Jackson was using that in the first DDJF or whatever, when he mentioned Obama, but then he turned his head to the window as to say, I'm still going to provoke him and I'm still going to threaten. He was wearing a white, and then also the black and white and the denim shirt. She basically, Frances Jackson was showing that she was doing what she was doing from the ICC, and they were indicating from me. I'm tired of talking about all of this right now. But I have no way to take care of myself, or my child has no way to take care. She's suffering aspects of what they'd suffered me over these past 3 years. And I can't do anything about it. Not that I can't do anything about it. I'm mustering in my health through being tortured and terrorized to call my daughter to try to attempt to try to just basically to try to contact my child. Please respond as quickly as possible. Please, I will send a formal letter within the next few days that I'm able to do this, so that if that's the response that's needed, if this live can be what's needed, then I ask that you accept this as a formal response. If I cannot, meaning for me, it's aside from sending a letter along with the note that I sent to the White House a few days ago. And if I can have written response sent to my to my apartment. This is Latanya Michelle Walters. And Brighton 15th Street, Brooklyn, New York, 11235. I also am aware that I need to send the proof that I emailed Tito Joe Jackson, the statement. I watched the Washington Post, and then also the other things from and reminding of my heart to speak about from the Washington Post. That came not from giving me the information, that's from already information understood about me as a person and my views, etc. But then also a copy that I sent, print out. My printer does not print from this computer. But a copy, if I'm able to go to the library, or even what's conditionally safer, and I mean that one intentionally, is that I can go to the copy place that's on the corner right here by the train station and email it and have it printed out. But I know that I need to send I guess for identification purposes also, send the copy that I sent, the email that I sent to Tito Joe Jackson, that I sent him the statement, and also to send that I sent A.R. Bernard the statement, the email that I sent A.R. Bernard the statement for identification purposes. This is Latanya Michelle Walters. Sound like a news anchor, but this is Latanya Michelle Walters.